Hello friends! Today we're going to talk about the different torpedoes in the game, how to use them, and some simple tips and tricks that you can start using right away to win more games. First, let's go over the 3 different types of torpedoes currently in the game. The triple torpedo fires 3 torpedoes in a cone. This is great for firing into a group of enemies and is much harder for your opponents to dodge than the other torpedoes. The drawback of the triple torpedoes is that they do the least damage per projectile of all 3 torpedoes. They also have the smallest blast radius of the 3, so you can't rely on hitting your opponent from their explosion on the wall. To add to this, the triple torpedo has the longest cooldown of all torpedoes. Despite all these drawbacks, it is still a very powerful weapon because of the significantly higher chance of landing it on your opponents. The swift torpedo is much faster than the other torpedoes. It has moderate damage and a pretty decent blast radius. It also has the lowest cooldown of all torpedoes and is the only torpedo to cost 1 slot point instead of 2. Use the swift torpedo if you want a very versatile torpedo that can be used in any situation. The big torpedo is the real heavy hitter of the 3. With the highest damage of all torpedoes, landing one of these can make or break the game. The big torpedo is significantly slower than the other torpedoes, giving your opponents plenty of time to react. However, it has the largest blast radius, so you can really take advantage of enemies that move near a wall. The 2 types of perks that can be added to torpedoes are perks that increase damage and perks that increase speed. I personally recommend the speed perks because I rather land my torpedoes more consistently than deal a few extra points of damage. You can train the crew members Sinclair and Bastion for all the torpedo related talents to further increase your torpedo's speed and damage. Now, let's talk about how to use torpedoes. When many players first start using them, they see its infinite range and feel like they should be shooting from far away, but this couldn't be further from the truth. While it is okay to shoot torpedoes from a distance when you have no better moves to make, the correct way to use the torpedo is to fire it from as close to the minimum range as possible. You can see the minimum range as indicated by the green part of the target line when you have your torpedo selected and you hold down the fire button. The other important technique to learn is to anticipate where your target is moving. Because of the torpedo's slow travel time, you can't just aim it directly on top of your enemy. Try to predict where your target will be when the torpedo reaches them and aim ahead accordingly. You can see a more in-depth guide on how to aim in my aiming tutorial, which I'll link in the description below. When you see your enemy next to a wall or even a sunken ship, you can hit your torpedo against the object to have the explosion damage your target. The damage does get reduced, but this can be a much easier way to deal damage to your opponent. When doing this, keep in mind that the triple torpedo has a much lower blast radius than the swift and big torpedo, so you'll struggle much more to deal damage with the explosion on a triple torpedo. One last trick you can do with the torpedo is to fire it from across the map before the fighting begins. Although the chance of landing a torpedo this way is very slim, it doesn't cost you anything, so you may as well fire a couple torpedoes off. Start taking notice of where on the map you spawn so that you can learn where the enemy will be when they start the match, and you can aim in the right direction. That's all for today. Remember that torpedoes take a lot of practice and you'll need to play a lot of games with them to get a feel for the timing of each torpedo. Don't feel discouraged if you miss a lot of your shots at the beginning. With enough practice, you'll get better at landing your torpedo and they will become a key part of your arsenal. If you found this video helpful, give us a like and subscribe for more Battle Bay content. Bye friends!